Tim Balogh is an amateur mixed martial artist from the state of North Carolina, and he's got a fight coming up on September 17th. Make sure you check that out. It'll be happening at Ultimate Battlegrounds 12, where he will be competing for a title against Mr. Frederick Morris. Tim, welcome back, man. It's always a pleasure to have you on my show, and I can't believe it's been almost a year since I talked to you.
Yeah, seriously. It's
Time
always great to come back.
time is flying. You are still doing your badass Celtic Assassin stuff. I'm still doing my badass show. It was only a matter of time before we joined forces back again. Good to see you, my man. And I did have a question about your fight against Morris here in a couple weeks. Is that at featherweight or is that at bantamweight?
That is at featherweight. I've moved up. I did talk to Ultimate Battlegrounds of originally it was gonna be I asked to be in October, but my coaches have something going on in October. So and they have two shows going on. So we chose September. And I was making the cut to 35, but along during that time, and we still had a lot of time, I was it felt like back to when I did that one weight cut to 125. I felt very drained. Probably, I don't know, probably just some things I had going on. So then I was just well, ideally they want me to put on, muscle, and 45, and I've been at 45, but during that time, I think I was just not in the right mindset at that 45 at that time. But now I feel a lot more comfortable at it. And I was and I asked them that, what, instead of 35, can you find me a matchup at 45? And they were like, yeah, you got it. And I told them, I was I don't care if it's a 3-round, 5-round title match, whatever. I just said, just give me a good matchup. And then, we got what we got. This is not me picking my matches, like certain other people have in the past. That's just my opinion, but, whatever.
Your opponent, you'll be fighting a guy. I must excuse me. I must confess I don't know a whole lot about him, but it seems like the promotion certainly thinks highly of them if they're willing to put him up against you. This has got to be a matchup that you're excited about. I know it's happening in South Carolina, so it's going to be a little bit of a trip for you. Can you tell me about just kind of setting the table? You've already talked about this is going to be the final amateur fight of your career. What made you come to the realization that, I'm at a point in time where I'm comfortable. I've been doing this for a number of years. This is going to be your 9th amateur fight. That's a lot of fights. So what, just kind of setting the table, what made you come to the realization that 9 amateur fights was the right number for you?
Well, like you said, this is going to be number 9, and I've been doing this probably a lot longer in amateur than I probably should have. A lot of people have short careers in amateurs for the most part, and I feel like when you do that, you kind of screw yourself when you go pro. And back then, ideally, the goal was to get the amateur fights, and if I win an amateur title or whatever, then maybe that would be my jump to go pro. And, twice that's happened, twice that hasn't happened. And so it's changed from you know what, we need to get the ball rolling in terms of I need to make things happen.
Mm-hmm.
That's just that's just how it is. And, it's been it's had its ups and downs like everything else has, and I'm very grateful for those times. But it's time to move on. Whether a win, lose, a draw after this one, we gotta go pro at this point.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. One of the things that I find so captivating about your particular situation is you defied all the odds just to get to this point. You never this could be the final fight of your career. No, it's not, but it could be. And no matter what happened in the outcome of that fight, you've accomplished more in this game with this platform and have done more good for the regular person out there than 99.9% of people could ever hope to achieve in MMA. You've already done that. So you're at a point now where everything, as far as like your legacy, as far as like doing the things that a lot of people probably never gave you credit for, thought that you would achieve, you've already done. You've already written. You have the T-shirt. Like you've done all of those things already. In a way, that's got to be kind of like a massive like I told you so. I told you so. And like what comes next is like you've already broken the mold. You've already beaten most people's expectations. So how do you still keep that hunger? How do you still keep that fire and have that motivate you to like go to that next level? Because sometimes that like dies after it's like, haha, I told you so. I already did all that stuff. I've already made an ass out of you. Sometimes it can be hard to like find that sort of like motivation for that next level. I know that's not the case for you. So can you explain a little bit about like how are you going to stay motivated? How are you going to captivate that fire and keep that momentum going as you go into the professional ranks?
Right. So when I first did this, obviously it was for me, and like all you said there, pretty much. It has evolved over time. This is not only like doing good for me, having being on here or wherever else, being able to tell my story. It's just one of those things where I wish I had people like that growing up, but I
Mm-hmm.
didn't. And to be able to do that for others, it's just and for their parents too, because not only there's not only a spectrum, but there's also the spectrum of parents. Like
Mm-hmm.
some of them care, some of them don't necessarily care. I don't know how to really like. I don't want to like misjudge anybody, but
Mm-hmm.
it just like there's a spectrum of parents as well. Like some do care, some don't. Some are it's crazy, but I've had people come up to me, whether it was in person, who obviously know me. They come up to me, and also like from social media, like just recently, they told me that they're helping to take care of someone that's on the spectrum, who is not, whether or not they're capable, or you know whether they're capable or they're not capable or whatever of being on their own type of thing. And it's very humbling. It always brings a tear to my eye, because it's like, man, like I've had people call me like a bunch of nasty things. Even people that were like, I've been slapped in the face. I've been bullied,
Mm-hmm.
and in those instances, I'm like, wow, man, I really just want to beat the living crap out of you, but in school you can't.
Mm-hmm.
Um, even though it's just how it was, and so I just had to like hold my tongue and fist, and I was very capable of using my words.
Mm-hmm.
Um, whenever bullies were trying to get at me, like I would say some nasty stuff, and hopefully, and you wouldn't do, and 9 times out of 10 they wouldn't do shit.
Right.
Because I was telling them the truth pretty much to their faces. And it's always is great, because I actually have a training partner who's married, who has a son on the spectrum.
Mm-hmm.
Just all these types of stories. It's just like I'm just trying to break the mold, and you don't really see that unless you see it on a Facebook post
Right.
or like any type of social media. Like you only see a little bit here and there, but they don't really, in my opinion, they don't really stick.
Yeah.
I want this to stick. And there have been times where it's like, man, I'm not really motivated at this time or whatever. It goes up and down, because like just how I feel and stuff like that. But like when I have something set, when I have a fight set, then it's like, all right, we need to get this shit going. Like we need to
Mm-hmm.
go. This is go time, pretty much. I go into like a soldier mentality. I've had that soldier mentality since that dream that fell through type thing.
Yeah, no, I completely get that. I think one of the things that is so compelling about your particular situation is we're still in the AMI scene, or you've been fighting at the amateur regional level for a number of years, but in a short amount of time, you have been through the ringer in the sense that you've experienced what this fight game looks like from front to back, all on the amateur scene. You know what it feels like to go on a win streak. You know what it feels like to be on a losing streak. You know what it feels like to win a big fight. You know what it feels like to lose a big fight. You know what it looks like for an opponent to not show up on weigh-ins. Like all of these experiences that a lot of people don't that are just kind of like figuring out at a youthful age. They're 23, 24, maybe they're a debuting professional fighter. You've already experienced all of this at your level. And what's also interesting is like, I know you're not even 30 yet, but in fight years, for the amateur scene, like you're probably one of the older guys on a lot of these cards. There's a whole new generation of younger fighters that are barely out of high school that are just getting started, and you're like that guy from like you're I don't know how to describe it, but like you're almost like a dinosaur in a sense. There might only be roughly a handful of guys on every AMI card that's roughly amount in your age range, but like most of these guys are kids that are just coming up. And I have to ask, like, when you consider that whole totality of the circumstances, all of the things that you've experienced since you began competition, do you see changes in the MMA landscape from when you first started compared to today here in 2022? Because you're talking about a number of years. Now there's a whole new generation, a whole brand new generation of fighters that are hitting the scene. And I'd love to get your perspective on what things were like for you when you first started out compared to now you're getting ready to, wave farewell to the AMI scene forever.
Honestly, been the same in terms of how people kind of like put on like a persona or a character like that. Like when I started in 2015, obviously that was like when the rise of Conor McGregor with his shit talking, and it worked, and that hasn't gone away at all, really. In a lot of ways, it's kind of escalated where it's kind of like, all right, man, but like if we were in a press conference and if somebody was asking me a question, and then all of a sudden my opponent across from me is like talking shit to me, I'm like, excuse me, like nobody's talking to you, shithead. Like I'm trying to, like, I'm not gonna, I'm not that guy. But if you interrupt me in the most negative way just to get some, like, that's what you're gonna get out of me. Like I don't care for that. That's where I believe in the honorable way of martial arts, And it's not like I'm gonna say anything bad about him, but if he's saying something bad about me, I'll point something out, kind of thing. That's just how I think about it. But in terms of the, like, how you asked, it's been the same, and I'm sure it's involved, but it's definitely drastically in terms of drama. And of course, I've never been drama. I think people, at least like my recent opponent, he thinks that I was causing drama, but I was repeating what he said, and for some reason he ignored that. And if he's watching it, hi, congratulations, by the way. That's all I got. I mean, nothing against him, really, just but I don't know where he thought I was talking mad crap about him, at least from recent memory.
So let's talk about that fight in particular, because you're bringing him up, and I know it wasn't that long ago. First things first, the person that we're talking about is Aaron Klein. He was your opponent from Ultimate Battlegrounds 9. That happened just shy of a year ago, October of 2021. And you haven't competed since. Now, I know this is a fight. I know you want this fight back. I know this is a fight that it didn't go off according to plan. He's able to secure a submission victory in the first round. Not exactly how you had it planned out. I know that you're the type of guy who wouldn't be disappointed? Like you train your ass off for months on end for the result to go the way that it did. It's only going to be logical. It's only going to be natural for there to be a period of time where it's like, man, like I got to get over this fight and I just kind of got to move on to the next. What was like your biggest like learning lesson about falling short in your most recent fight? And if you had to like do it all over again, like would you approach that fight differently, or is it just one of those things where it's like, it was bad luck and there really wasn't a whole lot I could have done differently?
Oh, it was just bad luck. Really, it was. Congrats to him. So I have two sides. So I'm gonna be the good guy in this and
Okay.
say congratulations. And this is the good guy talking. I will say congratulations. You have a compelling story. You're older than me. You've been in it way longer in terms of martial arts, but this was your first cage fight. That's really like you're a true warrior. Like, and your gym. I know, like I don't know the gym personally.
Mm-hmm.
I know what people have told me about it, or how my coach, because my coach is the one who does the FBI investigation type
Mm-hmm.
stuff. I
Yeah.
don't. So he tells me, he was like this, and this, and this, and and they do good things for the community. And they're in Jacksonville, I think, like an hour away from there.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't know anything, and the one time that I saw that okay, good guy over. Now here's the where I'm gonna critique you or critique this person. So, he has a training partner who I actually semi knew, like semi knew, like we were on the same card. I ended up not fighting, but he's a pro, and he was supposed to fight that night as well against like a capable kickboxer that was coming in, and for some reason, that fell through and he became his cornerman. Now, I think y'all misinterpreted when I was last on the show as like insulting, and I don't understand that. I said, like, you asked me, what do you know about him? And I was like, well, I know he's a pancrase type of martial artist and stuff like that. And you asked, like, what type of gym does he train at? And I was like, well, I don't know. Some type of karate gym. That was
Mm-hmm.
not insulting at all. I guess they thought, I don't, again, this is just me. I don't know. Uh, I guess he kind of took that the wrong way, I guess. And because, especially afterwards, I followed his teammate on Facebook and seeing, like, not so bad for a karate gym. And at that, I was just like, dude, I just didn't have the information like in front of me. And plus, I don't care. Like, it's very like mm,
Do you
it's
think it's one of those
it's
things
not.
though, Tim, where it's like people are trying to like get fodder, they're trying to extract fodder from a conversation no matter what. So what I mean by that is this, it's like you're looking to be offended. So it's like you're gonna overanalyze and pick apart every single thing somebody said to like look for uh, some sort of motivating tidbit, if you will. Like, hey, this person said this, this, and this, and it's like talking to like one of my ex girlfriends. Tyler's a nice guy, and then I go and I watch her podcast. I'm like, oh, what do you mean I'm a fucking nice guy? Nice guy how? Like, like I wonder if it's like one of those types of situations where it's like somebody's
I
just
think it's
scrutinizing
like
every word that you're saying.
I think it's mm, like how you how do I describe it? It's just like ga- I don't want to call it gangster because it's very like it's like a gangster mentality. But in my opinion, that's the stupid thinking, really,
Mhm.
or not intelligent thinking. But again, and they're on a hot streak in terms of like what they do in competitions and stuff like that. But I think they go about it. I call it in a sore winner type of way because I'll give you an example. Actually, like a few months later, me and some teammates were in a grappling tournament, and they were there.
Mhm.
Not the opponent in particular, but the other guy and a few others. So a teammate of mine and a one of their guys grapple, and they're cheering him on. And at one point, the guy gets the full mount on my teammate, and immediately they're like, "Hey, hey!" like going crazy. But you see him go like this while he's like on mount on my training partner. Now, let me tell you something. That's incredibly disrespectful in my opinion. And you could ask anybody that was there, but people who knew me, that I wanted to jump over that fence and soccer kick the shit out of him just for that, because that was the most disrespectful thing. And I was just like, I was fueled up. I was like, oh, I'm ready to go. Like, and it's not like I caused or went even further and caused drama. I let them do their own thing. Congrats to that guy and stuff like that. Like, congratulations to all of them, but just don't go about it in a sore winner type mentality about it. And going back to my other opponent, I feel like I've been respectful, and just like we were across from each other, and I went to you wanna,
Yeah.
and he's like, nope, and whatever happened, but it's all based on whatever he thought I was saying that was so negative about him or whatever. I don't care. Props to you, bud. Other than your teammate doing that to my teammate, that's very disrespectful in my opinion while in competition. But whatever.
Very interesting that people see things the way that they see them. I always kind of chalk some of this stuff up to like pre-fight hype, where it's like, I'm looking for an excuse not to like this guy. I'm looking for an excuse for this guy to like. I'm looking for an excuse to be, I don't know if offended's the right word, but like I'm looking for fuel wherever I can get it, right? So I'm going to scrutinize, I'm going to overanalyze every single thing that he said. And
Right.
it's almost nonsensical, but like you gotta do what you gotta do to hype yourself up and to build your confidence. And that's probably what I think I would chalk it up to if I'm trying to like interpret this guy's behaviors
By the way,
for
yeah.
what they were. Go ahead.
By the way, nobody else liked him, at least from my
Really?
circle. Like they looked at him and they were like, "Yeah, I don't like this guy."
Oh, okay.
I'm
Well,
sure, and I'm sure he's a great guy. Like he's a head coach at their gym or whatever. Like I I believe he's a nice guy. I just like that's I don't know.
hey, maybe he is a nice guy, but you know
I've
what?
Yeah,
It's
I've
one.
never done that with anybody. I
Yeah.
was just like, I point out what I saw, and by the way, I think he took it down, but then again, I don't really care. He's like, he had a Facebook video, and again, I never saw this again, or maybe he deleted it. I don't, like I said, I don't care. But he said that it was like he saw my page
Mhm.
and he picked the fight. Still, and a debut guy does not have the power to somehow pick the fight, let alone a title fight, whatever. And then I like my opponent that I have. I like I think he's a legitimate fighter. Like he's on a hot streak of 2-0.
Mhm.
And I have nothing. I like I said, and we don't know anything about him other than he's on a hot streak of 2-0, and that's just it. You know, congrats for him. And I understand that he's very motivated just from basing it off of that. He's very motivated. He's got something going on. And during this time, I've been, just sharpening the tools in every aspect, even adding things, uh, whether it happens in round 1 or round 5, whatever. Uh, and the great thing about this, I've been going to Derek Brunson's gym. I even got the spar on,
Oh wow,
which
way
was
cool.
yeah, it was scary.
I bet. I bet he's a massive. He's a
He's
massive
a
man.
mass. Yes, yes. Uh, and I was giving him the like, and I didn't want to be on a compilation of like,
Yeah.
I didn't want to be on a compilation, but I was giving my best, and but also, like I said, like it was scary, but it was such an honor, man. It really was. Hats off to them. I've been going to them for this fight camp
Hmm.
on Saturdays for their sparring sessions and stuff like that. And they have great people. I consider, like brothers or you know my fellow comrades, because that's how I hope they think of it, like with me at least. Even though I only come on the Saturdays and stuff like that. And I've had them like point out things to me, like if I'm like there's something that I can do better,
Hmm.
and they have, and I bring it back to my gym and we work on that, and it's been super helpful. And like I have confidence that the results will be good for me, but also it's like whether it happens to win, lose, or draw, I know what at the end of the day, and at the end of the day, I know what the outcome of this is for me, uh, going forward. And it may be me with my hand raised or the other person. And like I said, I'm fully prepared of what this guy is capable of. Like I don't look like I've never looked past anybody. That's you know that's pretty much how I look at it.
Are you with this being your last Ami fight? Is there like an added sense of nervousness?
No,
Not at all.
no, no. I've lost like there's like it's very minuscule the day for me for some reason, and it happened after fight number 4. I mean it's there, but it's very minuscule, and I'm sure when it like gets closer in terms of like that day, like especially when I'm about to go up, like it definitely like increases a little bit. But other than that, um, no, no.
In a couple weeks, September 14th, it's right around the corner, and this is where all your hard work is going to pay off. Win, lose, or draw, you already talked about. You know what the path forward is, and you're going to embark upon that path regardless of what the outcome of this fight is. When you like look back at like the entire chat, like this entire point of your life, that entire era where you were an amateur fighter, like what were some of like the biggest lessons that you've learned that kind of like brought you to where you are today? Like where I know you've taken a lot of lumps and I know that you've learned a lot. If I'm like an 18, 19-year old kid and I'm just getting ready to like go down that road and fight on my very first AMI fight, like what are some of the things that you have learned that you would tell somebody who's just getting started as an AMI fighter today?
It's tough to really think about because like this was my Hail Mary dream.
Mm-hmm.
Like after the whole military thing didn't work out for me, um, it it's been a hell of a ride, man. Like it really has. Like it's gotten me out of like depressing moments for me where I thought like, man, like after years of being in school, like this is all,
Mm-hmm.
and like it's given me a purpose in life. Really, it really has. I don't want to get too emotional. Um, it's made me a better person. It's made me weed out from the good people, the bad people, and who like like in terms of like being a good person,
Mm-hmm.
like who to defend and who deserves a beating, which has never happened, obviously, thank God. Um, not that I go looking. Obviously, I don't go looking for trouble. It's like it the Spider-Man trope of with great power comes great responsibility type
Yes.
thing.
Yep.
Um,
Absolutely.
it's definitely done that. It's given a platform for those that don't really have a voice, especially now, uh, in the spectrum, especially with the parents. like they lose hope. A lot of them lose hope,
Hmm.
and I hope that it brings some type of light to them that there is hope at the end of the tunnel. And just, you know, I've been beaten the hell. I've um, blood, sweat, and tears, even a broken leg. I'd deal with this all again, man. Like seriously,
Well, I
like
I I can't imagine like what you've had to sacrifice for this game. Like, and I'm not talking about like just physically, but it's like it's an entirely it's an entire life that you have to live like different from everybody else, right? Like it's the dietary element of it. It is the sacrifice. Like other people are going for a Fourth of July barbecue. You have to run 7 miles. Like a lot for other people who aren't in that and other people who aren't living that MMA life, it could be a very lonely life because you're doing all of this solo. Like, yes, there's a period of time where you're around other people, you're sparring, you're working on technique, takedowns, Muay Thai, whatever the case is, right? You're you're dealing with other people that are in your element, but like 90% of all this is happening when you're up by yourself. And there are other people that have invited you probably to do other things or like, hey, do you want to do this? Do you want to do that? And it's like, I can't. I have to go running, or oh, I have to like shadow box, or oh, I have to do this instead. And
yeah, yeah.
and for people who
For
aren't
this
into the
particular,
life, right? It's just kind of like, oh, okay, like that guy's a weirdo. Like he'd rather
yeah,
run 8 miles than like eat a steak dinner with me. Like it's just weird. And like if you don't get it, if you
yeah,
aren't living the life, people aren't going to understand, and that could be really frustrating. If I had to look at
it
life
can
from
be.
your perspective.
It can be, especially for this fight camp. I kind of had to like I have a roommate,
Mm-hmm.
my best friend from high school, and he understands, and we have friends over that come over, and they socialize and stuff like that, and I'll hang out with them for a little bit and stuff like that. But like when I come back from the gym tired and I hop on the computer and play my games, like they understand. They understand I'm like just trying to relax and stuff like that. But it does suck in terms of like socializing and stuff like that. And same with my girlfriend as well. Um, just like it it's frustrating, but she understands too. And my parents, not not seeing them a lot.
Yeah,
It's
it's
tough.
hard, right? Like it's hard. This is a sport where you have to know who your friends are and make those connections like mean something to you to get you through this because this game, if you don't have the right connections, if you don't have the right people in your corner, this game, I don't care if you cover it just like me or if you're a fighter like you, this game will chew you up and it'll spit you out if you do not have
Yeah,
if you don't have that right support structure, because I don't care how big and bad you are inside the ring, you can't stay in there forever. Like you can't be in fight mode all the time. Eventually you have to leave and go back to life, right? And it's in between those chunks of time on your calendar, right? Because you only fight 2 or 3 times a year, maybe,
yeah, yeah.
right? And now you got a 9 month window where you don't have any fights. What do you need? You need like your network because there are going to be times when you're going to be hurt, you're going to be bruised. You're just not going to feel it. You're not going to want to get up out of bed. And that's where your network comes in. It's the people that hold you accountable. It's your friends. And it's like those people that give you that kind of nudge when you need it because nobody can go hard all the time. Like you're not going to wake up super motivated and like feeling like Conor McGregor every single day. Like it's not going to happen. Like just like anything in life, there are ups and downs, and it's no different from it's no different from people like you. It's no different, and I don't think people realize
Yeah,
that.
no different.
You know, that's the biggest thing. I don't think anyone really realizes that. It's like you guys are just human. You guys have a unique gift that 99% of the population doesn't have, but you're just like everybody else. Like you got your own bills to pay, you got your own things that you got going on in life, and you wake up and you have good days and bad days just like everybody else.
I don't want to be like religious preachy or anything, but when I was in school, and especially like I'm about to drop the ball. Uh, if my mom hears this, I was suicidal, especially in middle school, and I think she knew that to an extent. But like, especially in that environment that she knows what I'm talking about when I say it. I wasn't suicidal to where I would do it. I was just like, if I died tomorrow, then I don't care. Like that kind of thing. I was just like I was waiting for the day for it to happen, and there was just like like wondering what my purpose was, and also you know I do like I'm not super Catholic, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm Christian.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, this this tattoo is in remembrance of my nana, who was very religious, Catholic.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but my point being, I like there was always a voice in my head is like this, there's just keep going, keep going, and I wondered why.
Mm-hmm.
um, and the other thing was like the other voice was like warrior, warrior, and that's when I looked into what I wanted to do at the time. And then when that fell through years and years and years later, and I discovered this,
Mm-hmm.
you know, that was warrior, warrior, warrior.
You know, life has a funny way of like working out. Like we always like game plan. We put these things into trajectory, and there's like this. Well, now what? When things don't work out, right? Like when you're told no, when other people make the decision for you. And at the time, it seems so unfair, and it seems like your whole world is like caved in. And it's hard to like pick up the pieces and like reforge a new sense of purpose, right? But like I feel like
Yeah,
I feel like this is a sport where it does exactly that. It provides exactly that because there aren't many people. Maybe that'll change with this like new generation of fighters that are in it. But MMA really, when you think about it, it's mostly been a place for misfits. It's been a place for people where it's like, hey, you have a lot of athleticism, but you're tired of like riding the bench in college football. There's a way for you to like leverage that in mixed martial arts. Like, great, I'm not saying everybody can go and compete at the highest levels of the sport. I'm not saying that, but what I am saying is
mm-hmm.
like, you wrestled in high school, cool. We're gonna put you through a 9 month camp. You already have the athleticism. We'll get you your first AMI fight at the end of the year, but I need 9 months from you of no bullshitting around. Like this is your job. Training is your job, and that's what we're gonna be doing day
Yeah,
in and day out. And I'll get you an AMI fight. The amount of people who have like broken into MMA because of plans going awry somewhere else, whether it be in their professional life or their athletic life, something falling apart. MMA has been like that, like lifesaver for so many people. It's like been like that thing you can do. I don't know. That's what makes it so special and unique. I can't think of any other sport where it's like, oh, I hurt myself playing rugby. I'm gonna go play like golf now and I'll find myself on the PGA tour. Like that might happen like 1 out of 1 million, but like that's just not something you hear about very often. And that's what I think is so cool about MMA is like it's so approachable.
And you don't need a college degree.
You don't need a college
You
degree
don't.
for it. There's no
You don't.
NCAA eligibility. You don't have to have a lot to get started. Just the drive,
And
really.
that was kind of part of it because like after like after school, like I didn't want to go to college. Like what and they were my and my mom and like there would be these end of year meetings that I would be a part of, and they would ideally they would want me to go to college and like get some type of degree
Mm-hmm.
or like do something that I wasn't like interested in, and I would be like, why
Mm-hmm.
why? And this obviously during the time where I was in JRTC and I accomplished so much during that time. Did they and they knew what I wanted, and it was just like more like, hey, if this doesn't work, this is plan B. And I but they would want me to work more on that plan B. And
Mm-hmm.
it's like school is shitty as it is, even today, even the years that I've been out. Why would I go to college if I do get accepted?
Mm-hmm.
Why would I go why do I want to go to college to like, you know, do this amount of time and also pay off the debt for a job that's possibly not going to happen, or maybe it will. I don't know. Like the statistics are weird. And if I went to college, I'll be honest, I probably would have to be on some type of drug
Mm-hmm.
to be able to do that work shit. Or or God knows whatever. But like I had my experience in school where I didn't care. I was like, oh, I just need a high school degree just to get into the military, and obviously it's evolved for a good reason. Now with my mindset now, but at the time I was like, oh, I just need a high school degree and just to be able to get in. I was like, all right, cool, sick. And obviously the results were as they were, and I was still like, I'm not going to college. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
don't know why you want me to go to college where I'm like, there's nothing there for me to. And I got accept. Well, I didn't say I got a letter. This was like 2013. This was after I won, or my track team won state,
Mm-hmm.
and I got a letter, and it said like, we would like to talk to you. Da, 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 da. Like it was somewhat like an accepted type thing, but I was like, oh, the one time I cared, and I
Mm-hmm.
showed it to mom. I was like, do they have an OcuCrep program at that college? And I guess it was no, but so we were like, oh, don't worry about it. And it's like, you want me to go to college, and the one time that I get like a letter saying like maybe we'll talk to you, all because they don't have an. And to be fair, that's kind of honest. That I get that, but at the time I was like, then what's the point? Unless
Yeah.
they have an OcuCrep program. So
Right.
no, fuck off. I don't care. I'll do what I want to do. I she I know she would prefer me doing something else, but I know she supports me in in
And hey, that's
how.
what matters. And you're on the precipice of going pro. Like that's exciting, right? Like, could you imagine like a point in time where you'd be able to like tell people like, hey, I'm a professional like cage fighter. Like that's what I do. I'm a mixed martial artist. That's my profession. That's what I do. Like to be able to like live a dream like that and to like support yourself by like doing that partially. I don't care if like your purse is $20. Who cares? Like you're getting paid to do something cool. Like that to me is the dream right there because most of us get paid to do things that maybe aren't so cool or are really mundane or kind of boring. Like to make $1 doing something you love. Few people can say that they've done that, and you're on the precipice of being able to do that yourself very soon.
Yeah, it's just like people. Whenever I get into like like when I was like wanting to get into the military, people people that I know would be like, yeah, that makes sense. Like he looks like he could do that. Do you
Hmm.
know how many people? Do you know how many people who are legitimately in the military, like recruiters? Like my girlfriend, when we were at the airport, her recruiter was there, and he looks at me and he's like, "Were you in the military?" And I told him, I was like, "Dude, I've been asked that so many times. No, I like no." And he was trying to do his spiel of like, you should do it and be able to and teach combatives. And in my head, I wanted to be like pissed off because
Hmm.
like I have my opinion on recruiters, not all of them, because there are good ones. But and not to get and not to get political, but I will say, if you need warriors, you know where to find them.
Hmm.
If there's an actual legitimate war going on, because we don't know, if there's a legitimate war going on, you know where to find me. Like I'd rather be drafted at this point than go free will willingly. Like you're gonna have to find me, and then I'll do it when there's a legitimate reason for it.
Well, Tim, it's always good talking to you, and it's always good to like know exactly where you stand on things, and like your consistency and just kind of like what you're all about. That's what makes me such a fan of you, and that's why I hope that you get that opportunity not only to like go pro, but to like shine on a big stage and to like tell other people what it is that you're all about. I think that's what's so important. And dare I say, you're very close to making that happen. And I'm just, it's been a pleasure to be part of your journey and being able to like offer my platform to you so we could tell people your story because it's an important story and it's one that inspires me. And I hope it inspires anyone else that took the time to listen to this. Before I let you go, I wanted to give you the opportunity if there's somebody that you'd like to thank, or if there was anything that you would like to say in closing, I'd like to give you that opportunity.
Yeah. Obviously, my mom has been a big part of it. Ah, damn it. Oh, damn it. Yeah, my mom is a huge part of it. Uh, Especially, she actually paid for those Saturdays for me to go to Brunson's and stuff like that, which is, again, I know she would rather me do something else, and I know that, but she's always stick by. She don't like seeing me fight, but it's like I'm not changing my mind. I'm really not. To my friends, my family, my girlfriend as well, who I met at Brunson's actually,
Oh,
um,
wow.
who she was a martial artist as well. She was a black belt in Taekwondo. She doesn't really do it anymore and stuff
Hmm.
like that. And she just got back from boot camp and stuff like that, from the army and certain things. I would like to like I've got a sponsor, um, Team Big. Oh man, yeah, Team Big XL on Facebook, a live stream. I know him from like my high school days. I know his daughter. That's kind. I think you can kind of put two and two together there. I'm very. They're good people. They'll be there as well. So shout out to them. It's like to help pay for certain things and stuff like that. Uh, just any and even like people who paid the sponsorship money or given me sponsorship money that don't really want their name to be called. I appreciate them very, very much and stuff like that. They don't even want to be like sponsored on the shirt or whatever. So like it's truly like a blessing. It really is. I appreciate you for giving me this, and whoever does, and whoever gives me that opportunity and stuff like that. The sponsor that I always have, well, it's more for my friend, Dane Britt of DB's Guns and Ammo. Um, if man, people need to look up him as well because he does shows for schools. I believe it's called Soul Free Running. Sorry if I'm uh, missaying it wrong. And he also had some trouble with the our county schools, like in terms just some BS type thing. But he's able to like actually do these shows where it involves like just like stunt work and stuff like that, you know. And he does a lot for the community, and it, his shop, his gun shop and stuff like that. Like, I'm a gun guy.
You don't
I'm a
say.
yeah, pretty much. And just yeah, just it you really check that out and all that type of stuff. And again, I my training partners and my coaches, a special shout out to Tom, who he's a Marine. He trained with us for about a year and a half, but he got his blue belt before he left to for some. He just moved to another state. I can't remember on the top of my head, but he's helped me in terms of like my wrestling ability, like especially improvements and stuff like that. And he's brought that to the gym, which was I'm very grateful for. To Brunson MMA as well. Like a lot of my old training. Well, I have an old training partner that trains out of there. So, and all those guys, like they beat the fuck out of me. Sorry, they and they, like they get me in that mode of like and stuff like that, and they show me things where I can be better at, and I bring it to my gym, like I said before, and it's just like one hell of a ride. Like I said, like after this, I want to be back to being in social mode again.
Yeah,
once this
absolutely.
is over. But yeah, that's all I can really think of.
Well, Tim, it's always a pleasure to have you on my show, and I look forward to having you back when we are getting ready to make our pro debut. It's going to be something else. I'm really excited about it. The ticket information, if you are in the Carolinas and you want to see Tim fight, I will go ahead. I will grab the information from his Instagram, and it'll be on the description of this video. So make sure you check that out. Tim, always a pleasure, my man, and looking forward to having you back very, very soon.